it's like if you don't have data expertise and you don't know how to work with data, the chances are that any tool, any data tool you'll be using out there, product analytics, web analytics, doesn't matter, you'll be using it wrong.
Hello everyone, welcome to Behind the Experience, where we give you an inside look inside the top product-led experiences that you see each week. You'll hear really great UX examples, proven strategies, and hard-earned lessons from experts. Today, I'm super excited to talk to Claudio Murariu. He's the co-founder and CEO of InnerTrend's, a product that helps you get faster insights with pre-built analytics reports. By the way, my name is Ramajan, one of your co-hosts here at Behind the Experience. Claudio, how are you doing today?
Hey, great to be here. I'm great, thank you.
I'm so excited. We've chatted before about onboarding. We've done webinars. I am so excited. We just had a preamble chat around onboarding and data and all that stuff. You're gonna give so much value here today. So for folks who are tuning in, get ready to be blown away. Claudio, one of the first things I want to talk to you about is around this promise. I love this notion. I actually heard this from you first. I heard this from you first around the idea that onboarding is about delivering promise. Can you talk a little bit about that, what that is, and finally, what the promise is for InnerTrends itself?
Definitely, yes. It's been a couple of years since I first put my head around this, around the promise of a product. And it all started on when we launched our first version of the product, and we would get people to define their onboarding process. And I saw that like everybody would do it in a very different way, and there was no framework to do it in a way that it actually makes a lot of sense. And I questioned myself, hey, what is the onboarding process? Like when does the onboarding process end? And I started doing research. I started talking to a lot of people, and that's when I came up for the first time with this concept that the onboarding process finishes when you deliver the promise of your product for the first time. And what I loved about it was like it made a lot of sense. Like people come to your website, they see a promise. And that promise makes them, hey, I want to learn more. Like, let me scroll down, let me click on the next page, let me see more about this product. Now that promise becomes an image in the head of your user. Like he already has an idea of what I'm going to get if I sign up to this product. And am I interested? Yes, let me sign up. I'm not interested, I'll go away. I sign up, and the only thing I have in my mind is that promise. Like I have that image, I want to get there as quickly as possible, right? And the question that I came with was like, okay, how many of the signups that come to your product get there? Get to that image that they have in their mind for the first time when they say, oh, I get it, how this product does it. That promise doesn't mean they get value, doesn't mean that they are going to start paying for a product or anything like that. It just means that they get it. And the way I put it back then was, when people reach the promise of your product for the first time, they can go and explain to a peer, to a friend, what your product does from experience and not from marketing materials. If I've never used HubSpot, I could share with my friends what HubSpot is, but by reading their blog or reading their website. If I have used it and I've set it up, I'll have a very different story. The second story is what I'm interested in.
Interesting. I really love that. It's like the difference between like firsthand experience versus secondhand experience, where I can tell you what I've heard, what my friend of a friend has heard, versus I have experienced it myself. And you're probably super more excited to tell other people about it because that experience is real for you versus secondhand experience itself. So that's a really fascinating point that you made.
Exactly, and it's so valuable because sometimes it's you make a promise. I find it really interesting. I don't need it now, but I find it so interesting that I'm going to sign up and see how it works just for that. And I'm going to finish that onboarding process. I got the promise, but I don't need this product now. However, I can share with my friends, hey, go check out this product. It does it. I'm not generating revenue for you yet, but I'm bringing customers for you. And I think that's why it's so important. And what blew my mind with the promise was when I started using this framework and we enforced it on all our customers. Like, okay, if you define the onboarding as reaching the promise of the product, what would that last step of the onboarding process be? We enforced it on all our customers to set it like that. And then I went and we had this report, what is the retention of the onboarded accounts? And that was a great report. It gave a really good glimpse on the retention of a business in a way that it's actionable. And I asked myself, well, what if we are wrong? What's the retention of the people that don't finish the onboarding process? And I asked my team, okay, quickly put up that report for everyone. And every single time when I would go, retention would go to 0 in the first or the second week.
Wow.
And that's when I said, okay, like if you look at the retention of all the signups, that's an average between the two. And usually the people that don't finish the onboarding process are a majority. So most companies that look at the retention of the signups, they think they have a retention problem because it just goes down. When in reality, the onboarded accounts have a great retention, and the ones that are not onboarded, they did not get to the promise, go to 0. So they have an onboarding problem, not a retention problem.
Oh, I really, really love that. Really great point there, around how, when it's like bringing somebody to the promised land. Once they're there, they're more likely to stick around because it's great. It's a land flowing with milk and honey, and I really love that point. I'm curious what that promise is for InnerTrends itself. What is the promise for the product? And the reason why we're going to dig into this is like we're going to dig into how some of the strategies and tactics and stories behind how you've improved getting more people to get to that promise.
Yes. Well, that's a very, very interesting discussion because I actually think we did it wrong when we started. Because we set us a very high promise. We said that our promise to the world is that when you come to InnerTrends, you'll actually be able to interpret the data without any data skills. So if you're a product manager, a product marketer, you should be able to interpret data and get the insights. Yes, let's call them insights out of the data, even if you don't have data skills. Because that's the problem we saw in the world. Companies that had teams that had data teams were able to get insights from their data. Companies that didn't have the data expertise were not able. And we said, how do we make it possible for the second type of the companies to get those insights? Okay, let's build a product that gets them the insights without the data expertise. And that was our promise. But yes, I think we've set us a promise that was very, very high for us, which put us on a path of what we want the world to be rather than what the world wants to be. But on the other hand, I'm really happy we took on this promise because once cracked, like sky's the limit, basically. It's a very, very difficult promise to crack, and definitely we feel we are getting there. The problem we had with this promise was that it's like if you don't have data expertise and you don't know how to work with data, the chances are that any data tool you'll be using out there, product analytics, web analytics, doesn't matter, you'll be using it wrong. Even if you do everything it is required to do in that tool. You do the tracking, might do wrong tracking, track the wrong events or in the wrong way, not track the important events and so on. Interpreting, like you build a report and you put the wrong metrics and dimensions, or when you interpret it, you don't have expertise, you interpret it in the wrong way. So you might actually go to, let's say, Google Analytics, a tool that everyone uses, do everything that's required to set it up, get to a report, get an insight that gets you really excited, and go implement something and actually have a negative impact on your business because you tracked wrong, you interpreted wrong, you build a wrong report, so you created a wrong picture of what needs to happen. So we said, Okay, so it's not just about the tool. It's not just making it easy to go through the steps. It's about how do we make it possible that they don't
Right.
do mistakes, that
I
they
love that.
set it the right way. And there are more tools that have this challenge. We see this in product guides, and I believe that like
100%.
AppQs can definitely relate to that. Even in tools like email marketing, like you go and you get really excited. I'm going to set up a new tool, email marketing. It depends a lot on the content of the email you put
100%.
there. We could send an email that actually harms you more, even if you've done everything. Now, nobody wants customers that harm themselves with your tool, that don't get results. And what can you do? Like, what's you made it very easy for them to onboard. Everything is clear, and they still get it wrong. So I think that's a very difficult challenge
Yes.
to address, and that's why we, even though the plan was from the very beginning to build a product-led business, we decided to not implement an onboarding process because we said there is no way we can do this right from the first time.
I love it. Yeah.
It's not possible. There are so many variables and so many things that could go wrong, and we would invest a lot of time. Let's not do no onboarding process for InnerTrends. So when we started selling our product, it looked like it was a sales-led approach. Yeah, like request a demo, we'd give you a demo, you liked it, we'd send you a payment link. It wasn't even inside the product. We'd send you a payment link to get started. You'd pay it was a Stripe link, you'd pay on that. And then it was manually with Google Docs. We generated Google Docs on customer journey. We had a meeting on setting up the customer journey. When we started the meetings, it was a 2-hour meeting. Like it was very intense. Like we would do a 2-hour meeting with the customer just to define their customer journey. Then we would generate a tracking plan. We would spend between 10 and 15 hours to audit their application, to figure out how it should be tracked and what needs to be done. And then we did it again and again and again. And the 2 hours call got to 1 hour, and then it got to half an hour by sending them a set of questions up front. They would answer and we would just review them. The tracking plan, we started to get it much faster, like 5 hours, 2 hours, and so on. And we got to a point where client after client, we would get them in exactly the same way. And that's when we said, okay, time to build an onboarding process. And yes, it didn't, like, if somebody would have showed me the onboarding process we implemented before we started this, I would say you're nuts. Like, look at how much friction is there.
That's true.
But in the meantime, that's something that I learned from all our customers. There is good friction and there is bad friction.
100%. I love it.
And that's what we introduced. We introduced a lot of good friction. So from the purpose of every step in the onboarding process of InnerTrends is that you learn something out of it. You don't get to the insights yet, but you learn something in the process, something that you did not have before. The first step in the onboarding process is the customer journey wizard. So it's 8 sections of questions that you need to go through. You need to answer all those questions, and we generate a customer journey map for a business. Most businesses that come to InnerTrends never had that.
I love all of this. We're gonna cover the customer journey wizard, because I feel like it's super insightful. I think there's a lot of insight that you just said in that few minutes that you just talked about. I think one of the insights that I've gotten is it's great to have a big promise. I think that vision, it gets people excited about it. I love that this vision to get anybody who doesn't even have data background or data education, you're going to give them insights that help improve their business. And that's a huge promise. And the other thing that I really love that you did is actually started off with a human approach to onboarding. I think, can you talk a little bit about the journey? Because from my experience, often when people start off with like, okay, we're going to do it product-led onboarding, slap on our product, or they don't know their customer. They don't know their friction. They don't know. And you said this, they don't know what the good and the bad friction is, which we're going to get into a bit because people usually think of friction as bad, but they don't know what the customers really need. They don't know what their kind of education they need. But starting off human assisted, you can see them getting frustrated. You can see their eyes lighting up. Can you talk a little bit more about that journey? With that and leading towards this more self-serve approach that we're gonna dig into it in a bit.
Yeah. So I actually remember when we started talking about this. Hey, let's with the product manager, product manager of InnerTrend's is also my wife. So it's a family business, yeah. And I'm the type of guy who comes in very confident and hey, this is what we need to do, and I put it in details and I put the data because I'm a data person. I always put the data behind it. And it helps a lot to have your wife as a co-founder because she's the only one who never believes me, who calls my bullshit. The other team members don't dare do that, but my wife, she has no problem doing that.
That's good. I love it.
And I love that. I love that because that's what I always say to everyone, like even to my team members. Like, often I tell them, like, stop believing everything I say. It's so easy for me to get on my thing and tell you, and you find it amazing. Stop believing everything I say. It's very important to question everything I say. And my wife does that a lot. And I would come in and say, hey, this is what the onboarding process needs to be done. And she said, why? And I said, oh, because that's how the competition does it, and that's what people expect. Because I would show that, like,
Right.
yeah, but you told us last time, because with the competition, most of the people get their setups wrong. Won't they get this setup wrong with us as well? God damn it, you're right. Okay. And then she asked me, well, how do you do it now with the people that are successful? And I tell her about the calls, which I often would hide from the team because I didn't want the team to truly see how long it takes to get somebody on. And I said, like, oh, this is just something I'm going to do better and better and better, and it's going to be good. I don't need to get my whole team involved in this. And then she started questioning me a lot. And I said, okay, do you have this documented? I said, no, it's only on my mind. Okay, you need to start documenting it from now. We'll meet again in 2 months after we go through all the documentations, and we worked on some templates. So every time I would go on a call, I would need to fill the data and put the answers there, so we'd have some data. And that's what you do in the beginning. You collect data by typing it, through text files, through a lot of stuff. It's like a lot of people think data, it's only analytics and lots of data and big data. No, you start typing it. So we would do that, and after 2 months, we looked at the data and we said, okay, it seems the customer journey metrics, we didn't call it like that back then. It was called business concepts definitions. It was an internal lane. And so, like, it seems these business concepts definitions, it's a huge trigger to get people through. What are the questions? We look at the day, what are the questions we ask today, and how do we ask them? And then came the question, can we automate this? Can we get people to answer these questions without you? And then maybe we just review it. I said, oh, I think that can be done. Okay, let's try it. So we went through these iterations time and time again, I think for more than a year. And when she fully understood everything, all the aspects, she came back and said, this is how I think the onboarding process should be done. And it's another reminder, if you're a CEO, you should never design onboarding process. That's the job of a product person, not of the CEO.
Right. I love it.
You probably do a terrible job at it. So I looked at it, I said, like, oh my God, this is amazing. I love it. Let's implement it. And she said, no, let's test it first. Let's go do your work, but exactly like it is here, like send links and do it exactly like it is here, follow, and let's do it 2 more months like this and see if it works and we find any problems. We actually did find some problems. We fixed it and then we implemented. So this is crazy. We never got to fully product-led. One of the reasons being that we actually had one of the steps where we need to pay. Yes, like it's no, you don't get access to freemium. We said, like, we need to manually review everything. And we knew from our data that people appreciate this a lot, that there is a manual review on the stuff and they can trust it that way. So we added a payment step in the process. And yeah, we launched it, and 3 days later, even if we never notify, we get the first payment. The system was so wrong that we didn't even get a notification. I found it by mistake, and I panicked immediately. It's like, okay, we are doing something right here. Like somebody who we never met before, we don't know who he is. He just gave us money because we showed them a customer journey metrics map, and we said that we will build a tracking plan for that. And I was like, okay, something we are doing right.
I really love this. We've been talking a lot about customer journey map here already, and the other reason why I love it is, like, it takes a lot of trust to give somebody data. We have the same problem at AppQs where installing a code snippet, like, you have to trust the code won't destroy or be malicious, and educating them and getting somebody who might not have access to the code base or might not have enough trust with your tool, with the customer journey map, it really does get them excited about it first. I'm going to pull up for people who are tuning in through podcasts here. What I'm seeing right now is the customer journey map, customer journey wizard itself, right in the product. As I signed up for this, it's asking questions like, what does your product do in a short sentence? Just a video of you, Claudio. It's asking you, do you have free trial? Do you have other stuff like that? And then it's going to ask you, what is the main purpose of your product? What is the promise? And then there's several questions with very clear, I believe that's 7 pages of
Yeah.
information that will help you provide this. I'm guessing all of these questions are based on all of the work that you and
Yes.
your team has done to figure out exactly the right questions to ask to build out
Yeah.
a tracking plan. Is that correct?
It is 100% correct. And the crazy thing about it is, when we launched the first version of it, it had double the number of questions.
Wow.
And we realized that, hey, instead of these two questions, like these two questions here, what is the promise that you make to your users and customers? And what is the name of the action that people need to perform in your product to experience that promise? Those two questions are the ones that we worked the most with. I think we had many variants of them. And the problem was, often people would answer areas that would be obscure, and it wouldn't be very clear. And it's that's why we always worked on this. How can we make it that they actually answer with a verb and a noun? Like the action needs to be a verb and it needs to describe something. So we need them to answer with a verb and a noun. That's what needs to give clarity. So yes, there was a lot of work, and it's still not perfect. We are still working on it, but a much higher percentage of the people that feel this, when I look at the customer journey map, the way I know we've done a good job is when I open customer journey maps and I look at them, and I can guess what the product is. I just looking at the map, it's a clear picture what the product does, what it is, and I go and load their website and I see, it's that's it.
I love that. And the question you were talking about earlier, with the verb, is what is the name of the action that people need to perform in your product to experience that promise? And then there's a subtitle at the bottom here. Fill in the verb and noun. Example: view report, send message, watch lesson fluids are really, a key user action that signifies that they've experienced the product itself. I really love that. This again is based on insight. This is insight help you have a better clarity as to how to help those customers. At the end of the day, you're trying to get them to that promise, and this is helping them get the data. Do you have any stats on? I have a strong feeling that people who complete this customer journey wizard have a higher likelihood of using the product correctly, of using InnerTrends correctly, as well as becoming lifelong customers of InnerTrends, because now they know, how to use it properly, how to measure, what kind of insights they can get. Is that a fair
Yes,
assumption?
yes,
And do
very,
you have any
very.
like data you can share, or They fill this
Very
out
fair.
there.
Well, the numbers are great, though keep in mind there is a payment step. So after you fill in the customer journey metrics, you need to pay for the tracking plan. It's, I don't know, in the first month, it's 80% of the people that do that get to the promise of InnerTrends.
I totally love it. I really love how that is. Do you have any data as to how many people do fill this out? Like, for people who sign up, there's quite a few. If you don't have it at the top of the head, that's
Yeah.
totally fine.
So the thing with the customer journey metrics is we also have it as a free tool. You don't need to sign up to InnerTrends to
That's
generate it.
cool. Smart.
So we have, like we've had thousands of companies fill this up.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
We also, so for people who don't know, when I was working at Product Led, this education company with West Bush, we get our students to do this because it's super important. I think this is super important for anybody who's trying to be product led. So I really, really do love this. You're using content to drive product adoption, which is often missed for a lot of folks. First thing to think about is this slap on a product tour, but here you're giving a guide, you're giving a education tool to help drive product adoption for folks.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the plan. The idea was, I think you called this engineering as marketing or something like that. So
engineering as marketing. I love it.
Yeah, so when you develop something, and it's kind of a tool in itself. Yeah, like we developed a tool to get people some value, some very valuable, which is something very valuable for them. And I actually said to them, like, I need this to be something that people would want to print out and put it in their office. That's what I want it to be. So the end result of this, it's a beautiful map in a single page, beautifully colored, that you could print out and put it in your office and get the team aligned. The idea is only by getting alignment in your team on what are the definitions for the onboarding, for activation goals, for engagement, for features, getting those things aligned with your team. According to Forbes, they did a study on this. According to Forbes, only through alignment, nothing else, you get a 10% increase in growth.
I love that.
Which basically is because things compound. When everybody works on the same definition and they work towards the same goal, they compound. When you go towards different goals, there is competition between them, so you don't win as much.
I really do. And that's a very interesting insight as well as very ingenious approach here. The other thing I want to touch on with for a new user experience with InnerTrends is this product demo that I'm just going to bring it up here, that people need to sign. When they sign up, they get this experience here where people can sign up and then they provide an email, and then there's some pointers here where they say, hey, here's what InnerTrends can look like with data inside of it and all the insights that you can gather before they even get to the customer journey wizard. I've talked to somebody else from Nevada who have data that shows product demos like this really do impact people getting to experience the promise as well as the people converting. You have an interesting story behind this because you were so against this, Claudio.
Yes,
and now you're fully convinced. You have data to show that this actually works. Can you share first of all why you were against this?
My main problem with this was, and I think it has to do a lot with the sales-led approach and the demos I was doing. The thing with InnerTrends is it's not like other analytics tools. Like we have a series of pre-built reports that are like, how are people converting during the onboarding process? What are the actions that people do between onboarding steps and stuff like that? Which, when you go into them, like, what's the onboarding process? What does it mean? What are these actions here? What are these steps here? I don't know what I'm looking at. We would often get, in the early times of InnerTrends, questions like, how is this different from Amplitude and Mixpanel? And that frustrated me a lot, because We are nothing like Amplitude and Mixpanel. We actually have customers that use both InnerTrends and Mixpanel, or InnerTrends and Amplitude. So I said, like, I don't want to give them access to this because it will just build on their idea that it's the same as the competition, because it's reports. Yeah, like we do reports. You don't know that they are pre-built. You don't know how they got there. You don't have all the context. When in a demo, I would make sure you get that context. So I was against it. I said, the only way I would agree for somebody to get access to this is if they get into it through a story, just like I do it in the demo, right? We have this business, it's about that I can have this InnerTrends account. That's how you do it. But then the team came and said, well, we cannot do that story. We shouldn't do that story from the very beginning. Let's just explain the concepts and take them through the differentiators between us and Mixpanel. And that's a good MVP to have, an easy MVP to have. And again, the product manager came and said, yeah, let's do it like that. Let's do it a minimum. And if we see friction, if we see problems, and if we hear again what's the difference between InnerTrends and Mixpanel, we'll drop it off. I said, okay, I can live with an experiment. I'm a data person. I cannot say no to that. You got me there. And we did it. And it turned out to be the main driver of conversions. And I had no excuse anymore. And what's crazy is the plan was to build that story, but we don't even need to do it. The conversion is so good, it works. I don't need to build that story, which is very complex. We wanted to do something like, hey, you are a product manager for this company. You have an onboarding problem. Go find it inside InnerTrends. We wanted to make it as a quest, which sounds great. Sounds like an amazing thing to try out and check out. But it would fix a problem it doesn't exist. Even if it sounds amazing, even if it's great, we would waste resources on something that already works well.
I really love that. In just off the top of your head, once again, how was this? What was the data around, like, people who see the product demo, they're 20% more likely to convert, or 30%. I'm not entirely sure, but like, do you have any data around like how it's helped improve conversion?
I think it was 30%. If I remember correctly on our last analysis on this, 40% of the people that went through the demo created an account, and we have indeed a very good conversion rate from created account to payment and onboarding. Yes, so it was at 30%. People that, and the interesting thing was, I remember it was the majority of the accounts created went through the demo. I think that was very interesting for me to find out.
I love it, and I think you made a really good point about the risk of people being confused about the data. But when people sign up for InnerTrends, they're it's very clear access demo account. There's this Mailymon is based on a fictional company.
Yeah,
Mailymon,
fictional company, yeah.
Competitor to MailChimp. So people understand it. Like, people understand exactly hopefully people are aware of MailChimp. And every InnerTrend account is personalized to the specific of each product out of the box. Actually, that's an interesting point. Like, why do you have? I'm guessing a lot of people who sign up for InnerTrends are familiar with MailChimp. Is that a fair assumption? That's why your team chose.
That's why I chose. Like, most of our customers would be tech savvy. They would know about MailChimp. Also MailChimp, it's an easy concept. You send emails. It's not complex. We could choose HubSpot or Intercom or other popular products, but they're more complex, more difficult to understand. 100%. So email sending is a very straightforward concept. Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of this. One of the questions I want to ask you is, what are you excited to try next? You have this demo, you have this customer journey wizard. Are there any other things that you can share that you and your team are excited about looking to improve this experience?
Yes, there is something we work on a pilot now. I'm really excited about. So we offer pre-built reports. So there is this, like, that's what InnerTrends is now. Like, the reports are there and you go into them. But insights require analysis. So it requires you go through multiple reports and make up a story of the data. And we are working right now on a pre-built analysis. So think of it like a scientific paper on your onboarding process that goes through all the details and explains everything. And basically, you don't even need to know how to go through the data. It's laid out for you. So we'll have the recipe for certain analysis on how to go through the data, and you can plug that into your data and have that, like, again, like a scientific paper customized on your data for you, so you have a deep understanding of what's happening there. So that's what we are piloting right now.
Nice. That sounds exciting. That's all I wanted to chat about. One final question: where can people find out more about you online, as well as more about InnerTrends if they're curious about checking out InnerTrends for their own product?
Definitely. So I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn and Twitter. You can find me on Twitter with Claudiu, with double L, so CLLAUDIU, and on LinkedIn with my full name. But yeah, definitely recommend checking our blog. We also have a podcast, the Data-Led podcast, webinar series. By the way, we have a great show with Ramli and Georgiana Laudi. It was an amazing show. I loved that one. Yes, check out InnerTrends.com. You can find a lot of resources there.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate your time, Claudio.
Thank you. Great being on the show.